Good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be with you, and I want to thank our superb, brave men and women of the Customs and Border Protection for their hospitality. There are ICE officers, our HSI officers who work every day to restore a lawful system of immigration that we can be proud of. I appreciate Secretary Kelly for his leadership and his willingness to have his people host me today. I appreciate that, and all of Homeland Security. Our men and women who are securing our border are making astounding progress. Here, along our nation's southwest border, is ground zero in the fight. Here, under the Arizona sun, ranchers work each day to make an honest living, and law-abiding citizens seek to provide for their families. But it's also here, along this border, that transnational gangs like MS-13 and international cartels flood our country with drugs and leave death and violence in their wake. And it is here that criminal aliens and the coyotes and the document forgers seek to overthrow our lawful system of immigration. So let's stop here for a moment. When we talk about MS-13 and the cartels, what do we mean? We mean international criminal organizations that turn cities and suburbs into war zones, that rape and kill innocent civilians, and who profit by smuggling poison and other human beings across our borders. Depravity and violence are their calling cards, including brutal machete attacks, even beheadings. They threaten the very integrity of our nations in our hemisphere. It is here on this sliver of land, on this border, where we first stake our stand. It is a direct threat to our legal system and to our peace and prosperity. In this fight, I'm here to tell you, the brave men and women of the Customs and Border Protection, we hear you. We hear your concerns. We have your back. Under the President's leadership and guided by his executive orders, we will secure this border and bring the full weight of both the immigration courts and the federal enforcement and prosecutors to combat this attack on our national security and our sovereignty. As all know, the President has made this a priority, and already we're seeing results. From January to February of this year, illegal crossings dropped by 40%, which was an unprecedented drop. Then, last month, we saw a 72% drop compared to the month before the President was inaugurated. That's the lowest monthly figure in 17 years. We are so proud of your work. But this is no accident. This is what happens when you have a President who understands the threat, who is not afraid to publicly identify the threat and to stand up to it, and who makes clear to law enforcement that the leadership of their country finally has their back, and tells the whole world that the illegality is over. And together, we will further drastically reduce the danger posed by criminal aliens, gang members, and cartel henchmen. To that end, the President, Secretary Kelly, and I want to do our best to arm you with the support of our prosecutors and partner with you with more tools in your fight against criminal aliens. The battle is far from over. We must follow up on the successes we've had so far, and here on the border, we will do so. Today, I'm pleased to stand with you, our law enforcement officers, and to announce new guidance regarding our commitment at the Department of Justice to criminal enforcement of our immigration laws. And as we speak, I am issuing a document to all federal prosecutors that mandates the prioritization of these immigration enforcement. Starting today, federal prosecutors are now required to consider for prosecution all of the following offenses, often not prosecuted in the past. The transportation and harboring of aliens. As you know too well, this is a booming business. No more. We're going to shut down and jail those who've been profiting from this lawlessness. Smuggling gang members across the border, helping convicted criminals re-enter the country, and preying on those who don't know how dangerous and costly this journey can be. Further, where an alien has unlawfully entered the country, which is a misdemeanor, that alien will now be charged with a felony if they unlawfully enter or attempt to enter a second time and certain aggravating circumstances are present. Also, aliens that illegally re-enter the country after prior removal will be referred for felony prosecution, and priority will be given to such offenses, especially where indicators of gang or cartel affiliation or risk to public safety, drug smuggling, or criminal history are present. Fourth, where possible, prosecutors are directed to charge criminal aliens with document fraud and aggravated identity theft, the latter carrying a 2-year minimum mandatory penalty. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, I have directed that all 94 United States Attorney's offices make the prosecution of assaults on federal officers a priority. Assaults on you as you go about doing your duties. If someone dares to assault one of our folks in the line of duty, they will do federal time for it. You're very often away from backup, out in dangerous areas, and the smugglers and the drug dealers need to know that we will not tolerate any attacks on our federal officers. To ensure that these priorities are implemented, starting today, each United States Attorney's Office, whether border or interior, will designate an assistant United States attorney as the border coordinator in that district. It will be this experienced prosecutor's job to coordinate the criminal investigation and enforcement response for their specific office. For those that continue to seek improper and illegal entry into this country, be forewarned. This is a new era. This is the Trump era. The lawlessness, the abdication of duty to enforce our laws, and the catch and release policies of the past are over. In that vein, I'm also pleased to announce a series of reforms regarding immigration judges to reduce the significant backlogs in our immigration courts. Backlogs and catch and release policies have undermined the effectiveness of our law officers' work. Pursuant to the President's executive order, we will now be detaining all adults who are apprehended at the border. They will not be released. To support this mission, we have already surged 25 immigration judges to detention centers along the border. And I want to thank personally the many judges who answered our call to support this initiative. In addition, we will put 50 more immigration judges on the bench this year and 75 next year. We can no longer afford to wait 18 to 24 months to get these judges on the bench. So today I've implemented a new streamlined hiring plan. It requires just as much vetting as before of their skills and expertise, but reduces the hiring time. We must end the backlogs in our immigration courts. With the President's executive order on border security, transnational criminal organizations, and public safety as our guidepost, we will execute a strategy that once again secures our border, apprehends and prosecuted those criminal aliens that threaten public safety, and takes the fight to gangs like MS-13 and Los Zetas and makes dismantlement and destruction of cartels a high priority. We will deploy a multifaceted approach. We are going to interdict your drugs on the way into this country, your money on the way out, and investigate and prosecute your trafficking networks to the fullest extent of the law. Why are we doing this? Because it's what the duly enacted laws of the United States require. I took an oath to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. On behalf of our people, Congress has set very generous rules for immigration. The people have pleaded, however, with Congress and with their leaders to enforce those good rules for many, many years. They have often gotten promises from their leaders, but no action. Now is the time for action. Now is the time we will have results. How else can we look at parents and loved ones of Kate Steinle and so many others in the eye and say we're doing everything possible to prevent such tragedies in the future? Let me finish where I started. First, by thanking you, the officers who serve our country so effectively. You are on the front lines of this fight. You are doing historic work at this point in our nation's existence. I know we ask a tremendous amount from all of you, but know this, we have your back. We will do what we can to empower and support you in all your work. We will establish a system of immigration that serves the national interest, one that we can be proud of, one that is lawful. God bless all of you who do this work, and we ask God's blessing on the success of this effort to improve the lawlessness and safety of our country. Thank you.
Nancy Montoya with CBS.
Hey, Nancy.